Hey there guys, in this video I wanted to do a quick update about Genesis. So the other day in my news video, myself and Sketch, we talked about Genesis, explained how he's a really powerful fire finisher with like a meteor scaling skill. And one thing I had kind of overlooked is that his meteor skill, because the wiki for some reason doesn't list it, it's only one hit. I was kind of under the assumption it was a 3-hit skill like the old meteor, and you know the old meteor has a damage cap of 30 billion damage. It turns out that Genesis's, or the meteor skill of Genesis, is a 1-hit skill. Thanks to Liv Dilly for pointing that out to me. But yes, so because it's a 1-hit skill, that's a little bit of a problem for Genesis in like Dark Visions, for example. It's fine in Clash of Wills. The damage cap is 2.5, so 1-hit skills are completely irrelevant. But in Dark Visions, as we get more and more powerful fields, more powerful party buffs, just more powerful units in general, like Genesis, being hard capped to a single hit is kind of a problem. So if you remember in the current Dark Visions, the failed experiment boss, if you're running like a powerful team and you're using Ibarra, you might very often see your Ibarra capping out at 9.9 billion damage because her shifted LB is also 1 hit, and you're losing a decent chunk of damage. Well, Genesis, as we can see from some early calculations, Ibarra is approximately 609 damage in Dark Visions. Well, Genesis is like about 10% or so higher than that. So even though he's technically higher damage, depending on the boss, of course, and depending on your team, he could be handicapped and not actually able to deal that kind of damage. He might be stuck at a single 10 billion hit. And yeah, I just wanted to make that known. If you still want to go for Genesis, by all means, go for him. But yeah, early on, I kind of thought he was a three-hit finisher, like regular Meteor. Turns out that is not the case. So if you pull for a powerful Genesis, you might find yourself handicapped on some fights where he can't do any more than 10 billion, while a unit like Flaring Rain or something, who is a 24-hit unit, can go far beyond that 10 billion damage cap, depending on the boss. So just keep that in mind. I just didn't want anyone like pulling for Genesis, finding out after the fact, and then being like, Centaur said this guy can deal so much damage. I'm only dealing 10B, while the rest of the party on a slightly squishier boss is dealing like 15 billion apiece. Just as an example. So yeah, some bosses it won't matter at all. There's definitely some bosses that are very, very bulky, and like no one's gonna hit for 10 billion. And Genesis on those bosses will be great. But for the bosses where you are dealing more than 10 billion, like the current Dark Visions, Genesis can't do more than that. He's got a hard limit of 10 billion damage per hit. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. See you tomorrow for the EX fights. Later.